touching the floor and the socks are touching the feet. This is what we mean by becoming aware of the body. Simply noticing what the body is touching. And see if you can become aware of the breath. The breath touching the abdomen, rising and falling. You may feel it in the chest area rising and falling, or on the upper lip and inside the nose. And really see if you can come back to the breath, the body, as an anchor. Allow your breath to steady you, to soothe you. The breath can always be here to soothe us. We're going to become aware of feeling. We're going to be talking about money. And we can get a bit tense when the conversation of money comes up. So just notice what you're feeling in the body. Is there tension or contraction or expansion? And it's okay, whatever you are feeling in the body, just welcome it all. And we're going to become aware of our emotions. What emotions arise when we begin to think about money? Is there fear, agitation, anxiety, excitement, joy? It's a whole basket full of emotions that can arise. And just notice which emotions arise for you when you begin to think about money. Allow the breath to soothe you, to calm you. Let the breath be the anchor to steady you through this session today. Now become aware of your thoughts. There will be thoughts which are most probably pacing in the heart-mind, racing around in a heart-mind. There may be some spinning around, or the thoughts may be quiet. Just becoming aware of your thoughts. Feelings produce emotions, emotions produce thoughts, and thoughts produce thinking. And all this is going to happen because we have this unique body. With the body there is feelings, and with feelings there'll be emotions, and with emotions there'll be thoughts, and with thoughts there will be thinking. And pay attention to some of those familiar thoughts that course in the mind, especially when we bring to mind the topic of money. And while we are in touch with emotions and thoughts, we'll move to G. G stands for gathering the breath. And so we use the breath to soothe us, to calm us, to stop us spinning out in the head. So really see if you can gather the breath in the abdomen, allowing the abdomen to rise and fall. You may experience it in the chest area or even in the throat area. And some of you may gather the breath on the upper lip and inside the nostrils. And really see if you can feel the in-breath breath. In breath, out breath. Breathing in for 2 and breathing out for 4. Breathing in for 3 and breathing out for 6. And we work with our thinking by connecting to the breath. So inviting you to take a deep breath in and we're going to expand the breath throughout the whole body because E stands for expanding. And so we take a deep breath in and expand the breathing throughout the whole body. And see if you can now expand the awareness out and connecting to me. Firstly, I would like to ask a question of all of you. I love asking questions. And the question today is, how would you describe your relationship to money? And just write that down in 3 words rather than thinking, oh, I have to write a whole paragraph or a sentence. In 3 words, how would you describe your relationship to money? So if I chose 3 words, my words would be abundance. My word would be generosity. And my word would also be tight sometimes. Tight. Yeah. Okay. It's really interesting just thinking about this topic and preparing for this topic, and this quote bounced up in my social media app. And the quote said, "Don't live a champagne life on a lemonade budget." And that made me smile. I did used to live a champagne life, but it definitely wasn't on a lemonade budget. I was very fortunate, and yet many of us do live a champagne life on a lemonade budget. But let's not give ourselves a hard time about this. But I thought this quote was so apropos for this conversation today. So just a little story about me and money. I remember as a child looking forward to all the Christmas presents piling up around the tree. Of course, I was lucky. Growing up in an orphanage, presents were donated. Adults did not have to worry about the money for gifts, food, and parties. And so often I smile when people say, "Oh, you poor thing growing up in an orphanage." I smile back and say, "Don't feel sorry for me." I feel sorry for you who grew up with your parents for many, many reasons. But we're going to focus on money today because I can remember, I remember being at school and I can remember saying to a teacher, why why do you always say, miss, when you call out about school dinners, "Oh, I know about you"? Why do you always say that? And of course, this poor kid living with his parents was on free school dinners, and there's me who was living in an orphanage bringing my money for school dinners. I never had to tear the letter home, which was inviting me to go on the skiing trip. And so I know, living in an orphanage, I was very fortunate. And one thing I got was good money sense. I was made to save a penny from my pocket money every week and only use the money I saved for presents or when we went on our summer holiday. I was lucky. Many of you have grown up where adults argued about money or there wasn't enough money around. and that actually perhaps some of your parents had to do some dodgy work so that you could all survive. And many of you as adults, many of you may be as adults using money to make you feel happy, to make you feel powerful, to make you feel important, to boost your confidence. Of course, these aren't feelings, they're stories. Yeah, because we do want to feel powerful in the world. Money makes the world go round, the world go round, the world go round. And for many people, this world is going to be a tailspin in the heart mind during the Christmas holidays. Some of you will be preyed upon in your social media apps. Some of you will be activated by images of festivities, shopping malls, and the holiday spirit around you. Everywhere we turn, there will be implicit and explicit reminders and visual cues to spend more money this time of the year. Even if you don't celebrate Christmas, there still will be pressure on you to spend money. The shopping malls are all dressed up, designed to get people to spend more money. You'll go into the supermarket and you will go to the aisle where you've always picked up your milk, or where you've always picked up your cut of meat, or where you've picked up your eggs and cheese. And guess what? None of it's there. It's going to be all this Christmas stuff because they want you to spend money. They want you to flash your credit, debit cards, or they want you to scan their QR codes. Yeah, let's just take a pause. I've said a lot there, and I know for some of you this might be quite activating. So just becoming aware of what's going on for you right now. Stress levels will go up for many people due to lack of money, due to the parties that you're expected to attend, due to having to make decisions about spending, due to thinking about how much food should I buy, what gifts should I buy, all in the context of having to please family and friends, and sometimes people who you hardly know. And some of you may want to opt out of the festivities, and yet when you turn the television on, adverts of smiling families and all sorts of people enjoying the festivities. And it's a fact that this time of the year is so stressful. A trigger warning here. We know that the number of people taking their lives escalates disproportionately in December. And so let's just take a moment, a few seconds to just remember those people who've taken their lives during this time at Christmas because it was just so stressful. Money is often the elephant in the room. So let's talk more about money. Firstly, let's be transparent. For many of you who are perhaps having to go back into lockdown or restrictions being placed upon you, what are you going to do? How are you going to react? Because most of you will react. There is the reactive mind and the creative mind, and the pandemic has definitely brought out the reactive mind. Some of you may be thinking, I can't see my extended family, I can't mix with my friends, I can't travel. Well, nobody can tell me what I have to do with my money. Yeah. Some of you will be thinking, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do with money. And it'll be a reaction, and you're just going to go out and spend money. Yeah. Because you can't be in control of who you see, but yet we think we can be in control of the money. The impact of the pandemic coupled with the holiday season is a recipe for being activated, a recipe for being triggered. And many of you are at risk of online shopping. What are you going to do? You're at home, can't go out, so you're going to go online and you're going to start shopping. Go on spending sprees for food. You don't even have to go out anymore. You can just order things at the tip of your fingers. Yeah. And you'll end up buying unnecessary things for yourselves and for others. And at the most extreme, some of you may just end up going on to online casinos and chancing your luck. And you will win and you will lose and you will win and you will lose and you'll win and you will lose. And some of you may lose all the money that you had actually saved up to spend over Christmas. That's a reality. Yeah. And all of these responses or all of these reactions may be a way of giving you some instantaneous fun and joy. So you don't have to deal with the disappointment of the festive holiday you were all hoping for. We all thought we would be out of this pandemic this year, and actually it looks like many of us are going to have a similar Christmas to last year, and we're in protest. We're throwing the rattle out of the pram. Some of you may be avoiding the fact that you are spending money, avoiding the fact that you're spending money that you don't even have, avoiding the fact that your line of credit is going up and up and up. Let's take a moment to pause with this. Yeah. And see if you can turn towards that. Just really turn towards your spending habits right now. Because if we avoid it, if we ignore it, we're just going to keep on spending money that we don't have. And I know it can be really scary to turn towards our spending habits. Let's look at some of the things that we can do, some practical tools that we can use. We can use these all year round, and let's focus on this time of the year because this is where many of the triggers will be. Every time you have an impulse to spend, you could ask yourself, is it necessary? Now you might say, how do I know I have an impulse to spend? It may be the thought comes crashing in your mind. I'm going to go online. And just knowing online is a gateway to you spending more money. Yeah. Well, some of you may be experiencing a bit of irritation, disgruntlement, and that can be a gateway to you spending more money. And as soon as you think about, I'm going to go shopping, I'm going to look online, see what's there, you could ask yourself, is it needed? Is it useful? Is it worth it? Is it necessary? When you have that impulse to spend money, you can ask yourself, what is it that I need right now? Because we know that often what can happen is we can have an argument with a partner or with one of our children or somebody at work. And what do? We go out and buy something to make ourselves feel better. Yeah. And maybe what we need to be doing is asking ourselves, what is it that I need right now? It's interesting that actually after an argument, many people can go out and buy clothing. And they buy clothing because what it is they need right now is a hug. And that clothing hugs them, holds them. It may be that you need to be seen, somebody to see you, to be seen, or you need some love. Yeah. And just let's reflect on that. What is it that I need right now when I'm going out to spend? And to be kind to yourself, because these are just adaptive behaviours, just ways of protecting yourself. And of course, this is a short session. And if you really want to dig deeper around your spending habits, you need to look at what was money like in your household. What was money like? That's a reflection. But let's go to some of your questions. Yeah, question time. One of my favourite parts of these sessions is question time. So we have a question for somebody who's asking, how do you deal with a partner who overspends no matter what you say or do? That's a really interesting question, because firstly, is this a partner that you live with? If you don't live with your partner, then in a way it's none of your business really. If your partner chooses to overspend, and you're not living together, is it really your business? Unless, of course, you are co-parenting. And what I would always say is actually, if your partner is overspending, take a look at what you're doing with money. Because often we can have bad habits. We notice the bad habits in other people. We don't notice the areas where we are overspending. But let's look at if you're in a marriage. If you're in a marriage and your partner is overspending, this is really, really difficult. And what I would say to you is, if that's happening, do you have separate bank accounts? Because if you have a joint bank account and your partner is overspending, you're not going to be able to do anything about it. You're not going to be able to stop it. The only way that you can protect yourself is as if you can have your own separate bank account. And then, of course, you may be in a situation where you're doing all the work at home and your partner's doing all the work out of the home. And actually, the work that you're doing at home, looking after the children, isn't bringing in the money. And your partner is the one who is bringing in the money. And you're going to have to sit down and have an honest conversation and look at, okay, what can we do? And maybe if you do have that shared bank account, that you might have to start taking money out and putting it into your own separate bank account. But first of all, see if you can get curious what's going on with your partner with money, and perhaps getting curious, what was your partner's experience as a young person with money? Let's move on to the next question. I grew up with a poverty mindset and feel guilty spending money as an adult. They're all great questions, and this makes me smile, because are you one of these people who always says, I've got no money, and yet you've got savings. I've got no money, but actually you do have money because you've got this poverty mentality. And actually what we need to do is to actually shift. Maybe there wasn't much money, when you were children, which is why you have this poverty mentality, and you have to start realizing that things are different now. It's different. You actually do have access to money. You do have some spending power, and you're not that young person who was listening to adults arguing over money. You're not that young person who perhaps had to go without a meal because there wasn't enough money in the household to feed all of you, wasn't enough money to clothe all of you, and now it's different. Let's move on to the next question. Do I have suggestions of how to overcome this? Well, I just did give some suggestions, and I think the most important suggestion is that you actually acknowledge you have this poverty mentality, and you obviously aren't poor because you do spend money, because you just have this experience of feeling guilty about spending money. And what I want to say to you is, again, is realizing that actually it's different now. It is different. and it's okay to spend money. Money doesn't have to be this evil thing. Some of us are brought, this is one of the things, what were some of the things that you were told about money? And sometimes we're told that money is evil. We need money to live in this Western world. We do need money to live in this Western world. Another question. I'm not good with the concept of a budget, yet my sister is constantly telling me to use one. Do they really work? The question I have for you is it working for you? If it's working for you not having a budget, then I wouldn't worry. I'm somebody, I don't have a budget. In fact, I'm just about to have a budget because I've just made a big purchase. And now I think, yes, I have to tighten the belt a bit and I need to be aware of the money that I'm spending. If it's not an issue, then don't worry about it. Budgets work for some people, budgets don't work for other people. If your sister is telling you you need to budget because you are struggling with money, then maybe you need to have a conversation with your sister to talk about what's going to work for you, and tell your sister perhaps a budget isn't going to work for me, or I would try having a budget for a month and let's see what happens. You can try, and if it doesn't work for you, then you need to try something differently. But what I would really say is that those of you who spend money that you don't have, this is a symptom of something. This is a symptom of distress. This is a symptom of trauma. And what we need to discover is what's going on for you? What's going on for you that you learn to spend money that you didn't have? That's what we need to be looking at. I feel judged when I give my cookies as a holiday gift instead of money. I do this for economic reasons, but also this is how I show my love. Well done for showing your love, and don't let it stick. If that's what you love to give, then give cookies. What you just need to be with. Now, if you gave cookies to me, I might say, actually, I'm going to have to pass those cookies on because it's the worst thing that you can give to me because I don't eat sugar. And so it's not that I'm judging you. It's just that having cookies in my house is dangerous. Okay. But if that's the way that you give love, then that's okay. Just don't let anybody judge you. They only judge you if it sticks. And what are you making it mean? Yeah. Just ask yourself, what are you making it mean that you can give cookies and some people give money? You're making it mean I'm being judged. In fact, during Christmas time, it's kind of normal for people to give food as gifts. So I'd say chillax on that one. The final question I will answer because I'm just aware of time. Currently, I'm working 2 jobs to pay my rent and debt. I'm really struggling and stressed to figure out how to make any of this work. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. What I want to say to you is that debt. Yeah. Many people have debt, but for some people, this debt is overwhelming. And the debt is overwhelming because it keeps on going up and up and up. Yeah. And what we want to be doing with debt is we want it to go down and down and down. So what I would say to you is, how can you stop your debt going up and up and up? What is it that you can do? Even if it's going down and it stays here, how can you do that? And really maybe to see if any of your friends, because speaking to a financial advisor will cost money, but there may be some friends who you can speak to who can give you some healthy advice. So we're just going to end with a very short breathing space, because I just want to acknowledge that the heart may be pounding. There may be more questions that you want to ask, and you may be giving yourself a bit of a hard time, so just ask the narrative to relax, to step aside. And just have your sense of the heart like an ocean, allowing your emotions to arise and cease, just like the waves in an ocean arise and cease. Allow your emotions to arise and cease. And come back to the breath. Really see if you can come back to the breath, if you can feel the breath. And perhaps take a deep breath in and expand the breathing throughout the whole body. And just know that this is the beginning of the conversation. If you're activated, just know you can always come to roundglass.com. We are here 24/7. You can go on to round.glass, go onto your app, and you can find a meditation to help soothe you, to help calm you. Thank you for joining me on Live with Vimalasara, and I look forward to speaking to you next week on the theme of alcohol. So go gently into your world. Thank you.